Hi, my name is Rachel, and this year I have been living and working in the Alsace region of France. I'm actually at home right now in the United States for Christmas. However, I am going through Paris on my way back to Colmar, my city where I work, and I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to do a one-day itinerary in Paris. I studied abroad in Paris in 2022, so I lived there for about 6 months, and I haven't really had an opportunity to go back and explore, so I'll be ticking off all the major landmarks in the city. There's a lot to do there. It'd be really hard to do the whole thing in a day, but I'm gonna try my best. Alright, I'm in Paris. I stopped at a bathroom to change my clothes, and I just went through baggage claim and customs, and I'm gonna go find a coffee shop or something to sit down and settle myself before I try to do anything else. Okay, stopped at a Relay, got a little espresso. Relay's like a convenience store. This is Charles de Gaulle Airport, Charles de Gaulle. If you are arriving from an international flight, this is probably where you'll be arriving to. It's a huge airport. It is the most conveniently located to Paris, though. There's a couple other airports, Orly and I can't remember the name of the other one, but they're like really far away from the main city. This one, you just take the RERB train, metro, all the way down into the city. It's very straightforward. Flight recap, didn't sleep at all. Also watched Jurassic World Rebirth, the new one, very bad movie. And airplane food, am I right? Yeah, so it was okay, it was fine. So yeah, it's like 3 a.m. to me at the moment. So if any of this seems a little scattered, or if I start losing my mind halfway through the day, I blame the jet lag. I need to take the RERB to Gare du Nord because I first, before anything else, have to drop my luggage off at Gare de l'Est, the east train station, because that's where my train tonight to Colmar leaves from. So I'm going to set that up first, leave my stuff in a luggage locker, and then I will finally start the first timers itinerary for Paris in one day. Okay, one last thing. Also, was about to walk away. The RERB is a specialty train line, so it's not included in the one-day metro pass. I just double-checked because I was going to do the Navigo one-day pass, which is 1250 euros, I think. Because this itinerary, to shove everything in, Paris is very big. You have to take the metro or taxi or whatever. I will be taking the metro. But if the airport isn't included in that one-day pass, then it will be cheaper to buy individual tickets. So I'm going to do that. You can buy them directly on your phone, an Apple Wallet if you have an iPhone. But there are also ticket kiosks in all the stations. That is Gare du Nord, which first of all I have to correct myself. I said Gare before. I always say it wrong because there's an E in the word, but it's not. It's Gare. Anyway, while I was on the train, I booked through a service called Radical Storage somewhere to put my stuff for the day. It was €5 a bag. I had to go find the little store, and then I guess they just store it in the back of the storefront. I've never personally used it, but I had a friend who did, so hopefully it'll work out. And then one last thing I wanted to mention is the app City Mapper is a really good tool for getting around in the metro, getting from the airport to wherever you need to go, because it's probably not Gare du Nord. So let me go put my luggage away, and we will start with the actual itinerary around Paris.
Le métro arrive,
It is early January, but they still have a lot of the Christmas stuff out. However, that's not what I'm here for. If you want to see some Christmas markets, I did many of them in December. But I'm finally off the metro to the first stop, which is Ile de la Cité for Notre-Dâme. I can see it right now. Okay, so like I said, I did study abroad in Paris. However, it was 2022. At that time, the Notre-Dame was still closed for refurbishment after that big fire that they had. So I've never actually been inside. I've been to Sainte-Chapelle, which is a gorgeous church, so it's also on Ile de la Cité. But today, we're looking at Notre-Dame. It is theoretically free to enter. We're gonna take a look at the line. There's already tons of people over here. But you can pay to book an entry time to guarantee that you get yourself in. The access without reservation line is, I think, a little too long for what I have the time for, unfortunately. But if you planned ahead, I'm sure it's lovely in there. That's a little disappointing, but to be frank, you've seen one cathedral on the inside, you've seen them all. If you can book it, definitely I would. However, I've seen so many European cathedrals, and most of them look very similar on the inside. So I'm gonna skip it for today. But my next stop is over to a little store that I used to frequent quite often when I studied abroad called Shakespeare & Company. You might have heard of it. It is an English bookstore. It's not the original, but it's still very cute, and we're gonna visit. Alright, so literally right across from Notre-Dame is Shakespeare & Company. Looks like there's a line for this one as well. Alright, no filming in there. That's a new rule. It was not there last time. But another thing to come explore for yourself. There is also a little cafe. Looks very busy. Again, I'm gonna skip it. I have been living in a tiny little French town. I forgot how many people there are in Paris. But a lot of the other things on the list are outdoor things, so shouldn't have too many more things interrupted by lines. The next thing on the list is to just take a stroll down the Seine until you reach Pont-Neuf. All these little green pop-up shops are called the bouquinistes. They used to sell mostly old books. Now it's a lot of souvenir type stuff, but still cute. '75th anniversary of people selling little books by the Seine. I'm walking away from the face of Notre-Dame to get to Pont-Neuf. And Pont-Neuf, not the prettiest or most ornate bridge in Paris, is the oldest. I need to look up what year it is. Okay, confirmed from Wikipedia, construction started in the year 1578. As for these Seine River cruises, if you have more than a day in Paris, I think they're a great first day activity. It gives you like a little taste of everything, but you also don't have to walk around too much if you're still getting over jet lag. However, if you only have a day, I definitely wouldn't recommend. You can't see all that much from the boats. Yeah, I think it's better to just see it in person if you only have a day. I'm not quite hungry enough for lunch yet, but a great way to do lunch in Paris is to pick it up from a bakery, a sandwich or something, and then find you a little bench by the Seine in the sun and have a little picnic. It goes from one end to the point of Ile de la Cité and then all the way across to the other edge of the Seine. Yeah, built in the 1500s. That is quite old. Even if you weren't looking for it, you might end up crossing it anyway because it leads you right over to a good path to walk down towards the Louvre. It's making me very happy to have the time to walk back around Paris again. I loved living here. It's just very expensive, but I would live here again if I could. I also would recommend, if you have the time, a historical walking tour of the whole Ile de la Cité area. Is like, there's a million bridges and they're all special for different reasons that I can't remember, but it's interesting if you have the time because there's just so much history. As promised, if you follow that, if you keep walking along the Seine from Pont-Neuf, you will reach the Louvre. Again, a place that I did not buy a ticket for, and I'm not going in. I have been to the Louvre many times. It's a huge museum. You could go a lot and not see everything. If you have the time, usually, of course, people are going to pick the Louvre because of the Mona Lisa and the famous things, but I would also recommend Musée d'Orsay. Less well known. I mean, it's still very well known, but it has a lot of Impressionist art, which is a personal favorite. But it's a little smaller, maybe a teeny tiny bit less crowded, and it's set in a old train station. So the building itself is gorgeous. Not that this one isn't. If you didn't know, the Louvre was previously the King's Palace until Louis XIV, I think, moved it to Versailles, which Versailles is also definitely worth a visit, but it takes like a whole half-day trip. Not if you're only here for a day. This whole courtyard area, by the way, is completely free to enter. And we're about to get to the famous pyramid, of course. This is the first snow I've seen. This is super fun for me. I'm from Tennessee. It was literally 75 degrees Fahrenheit for Christmas this year. So I love snow. I love to see snow. Next stop is Jardin des Tuileries, straight out from the Louvre. That way, there's an arch, and then beyond that is Jardin des Tuileries, another great spot for a lunch picnic if you were so inclined. Alright, so you can just see the beginning of it down that way. This behind me is the Louvre. You walk all the way down through the Jardin des Tuileries, and then there's the Place de la Concorde, and then you walk down the Champs-Élysées and you get to the Arc de Triomphe. This is like the main avenue where they would have, like, I don't know, royal processions or something. A great route to walk if you only have a day because it takes you through all those main sites. Which is huge. I forgot how big everything in Paris is. But we now have a few different options for your itinerary for Paris. I know I'm kind of running through everything, but if you really want to jam pack in every major landmark in Paris and you only have a day, there's a million different things to do in Paris. Con, there's a million different things to do in Paris. You can't possibly do it in a day. So here's the options. Either you continue on this way all the way down the Champs-Élysées. It is a long walk to the Arc de Triomphe, and then from there there's another road that will take you directly down to the Eiffel Tower, which I can already see over there, spoilers. Or I think what I'm going to do is take the metro from here, Place de la Concorde, up to Montmartre. Montmartre is a neighborhood, kind of an area where the Sacré-Cœur is, and it is my favorite, all-time favorite place in Paris. I love that area. There's a lot of art history specifically there. A lot of really cute cafes, an amazing view of Paris. But it is way out of the way. Like, it's a 30-minute metro and you have to climb a million stairs to get up there. I'm gonna do it. I would rather take the time to go over there. But another option is to take more time with the Louvre, with Notre-Dâme, to go in and skip Montmartre and just go down to the Arc de Triomphe and then finish at the Eiffel Tower. I am going to go to Montmartre now, early afternoon, and then metro back to see the Arc de Triomphe, and then get to the Eiffel Tower, hopefully at sunset. Yeah, so let me stop yapping and let's go to Montmartre. All right, I took line 12 from Concorde to Abbesse, and I remembered why it's such a hassle to come up here. It's because of all the freaking stairs. They never end. All right out from the Abbesse metro exit is that I love you wall. It's all blocked off right now. I think maybe there was some damage and they're restoring it. You used to be able to go up right up to it and take pictures, but it just says I love you in a bunch of different languages. So that's Montmartre. I think the view makes it worth the steps. There is a funicular that you can take if you need to. There is also a viewing platform at the very top of the basilica, which is unfortunately another, like, I don't remember the exact number. It's like 300 more steps. We did walk it when I was here before, and it is probably the best view in Paris. If you want a view that you don't have to walk 300 steps for, Tour Montparnasse is also a good option. The building itself is awful, very boring. And I don't want to oversell what's up there. Like, it's just a platform, but the view is beautiful and there's never anyone up there. I would do that rather than the top of the Arc de Triomphe or the top of the Eiffel Tower. Just because from Tour Montparnasse, you can see the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe. So yes, the view, of course, beautiful. That's one of the reasons I love it up here, but there's also a lot of like creative art history up here, a lot of like visual art and literature. Paris, of course, like especially in the 1920s, it's known for all of the authors. I'm majored in creative writing, by the way. It's known for all of the authors that used to just like gather and, you know, have little philosophical debates, discourse. So a lot of the cafes up here are still around from that time. So I'm gonna go try to find a cafe and chill for a little while, which is why I rushed so much this morning, so that I could have like a good hour to sit up here in a cafe and just admire the view. So it is busy. I'm gonna see if I can find anywhere to sit. We'll see. So now I'm in Place de Tertre, which is where a lot of artists set up their little art stands. Enjoyed my little coffee pause. I did not eat there. I would not recommend eating at any of those places around that main square. They're so overpriced. I'm just gonna make my way back towards the Arc de Triomphe and eat something along the way. But it's okay to get an overpriced coffee. It was €6.90 for that coffee, but you're paying to sit there and people watch and enjoy the sun. It's freezing, but the sun felt very nice. So I would definitely recommend a little trial of the Parisian cafe culture and then go eat somewhere more affordable. There it is. I got cold, I had to put my hat on. So the stairs that I went through take you either to the entrance if you have a ticket or all the way underneath to the other side of the roundabout. I drove that roundabout once, didn't drive it, I was in the car, and it was the scariest driving experience of my life. It was much busier than it is right now, because right now it's like 3 p.m. But there's no lanes really, you just kind of go. It's a little scary. Again, you can buy tickets to this and get up to the top. There's not that much of a view up there. I would personally skip that one in favor of a different view. By the way, to get here, I took line 2 from Montmartre, and then I got off at the Charles de Gaulle Étoile station. And then they have very clear signs to get you from that station out towards the Arc de Triomphe exit. From here, the only thing left on the list is to see the Eiffel Tower. So I have a little extra time. I think I was worried about fitting it all in, so I rushed. Again, I have seen all of it before, so I think I went through it much faster than somebody who's never visited would. But anyway, it means I have time to now stroll along the Champs-Élysées maybe. I'm gonna try to stop and find some food somewhere, and then walk my way over to the Eiffel Tower by sunset in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. My recommendation, I'm not gonna go there because it's a bit more expensive, but if you're looking for a nicer meal that's not like absolutely break the bank expensive, there are a type of restaurant called Petit Bouillon, and they offer semi sort of like fine dining, or like the multi-course experience you might expect from like a really nice French restaurant, but they're more affordable. More affordable meaning maybe $30 to $40, 30 to 40 euros for like 3 courses, as compared to like, I don't know, $250 depending on where you go. That's 30 to 40 is still out of my price range. I'm gonna go try to find like a sandwich or something. I'll try to make it at least a little bit like a French sandwich, croque monsieur maybe. We'll see. This road that I'm on right now is called Avenue Kléber. Avenue, I think, something Kléber. And it is one of the roads that spokes into the roundabout around the Arc de Triomphe. And if you follow it down, it'll take you to Place de Trocadero. I want to say that with a Spanish accent. Trocadero. Anyway, and then that leads you straight out to the Eiffel Tower. Alright, warmed up just slightly with a croque monsieur, which is a toasted sandwich, so it's bread, ham, cheese, and then bread, and then more cheese on top. And then I had a little flan for dessert, and I'm still kind of freezing cold, but maybe the walk will warm me up a little more. Yeah, and we'll just get back on the way to the Eiffel Tower. Maybe you can tell by the steadily decreasing amount of commentary I'm doing, but the jet lag is hitting me. It started while I was eating. I'm very tired. I'm very cold. But we've made it to the last stop of the day, the Eiffel Tower. It looks very pretty, better than I was remembering. I'm less disappointed by it this time. I don't know why. This whole green space in front of it is called the Champs du Mars. They have it really blocked off. They did not have it so blocked off last time. You could like walk out onto the grass. Probably too cold to lay on the ground anyway, but I'll go find some way to sit and watch as the sun finishes setting and hopefully the lights start. I think actually they might be doing some remodeling. Maybe to do with the Olympics last year? No idea. Okay, yes, I just looked it up. They painted it for the Olympics. That's why it looks better than I remember. It does look better. It's like a more bronzy color with the sunset. Yeah, I noticed. I feel like I remember now that I think about it, people making fun of the refurbishment because nothing changed, but it does look different. Yeah, when my parents came in 2022, we fully were just laying on that grass, and now they have it completely blocked off to tourists. Alright, so that building is a monument called École Militaire, and then that tower behind it, very out of place, is Tour Montparnasse. So it has a phenomenal view of the Eiffel Tower, but it does look really bad right there. I think it looks like a giant chimney. So they weren't there when my parents came in May. They close it off for the winter to protect the grass, it seems like. Alright, so unfortunately I have to go leave to make my train back to Colmar. It's not quite dark enough for the full lights yet, but that means you'll just have to come see it yourself in person. It really is a phenomenal way to end a day in Paris, especially if you're only here for one day. You gotta end it at the Eiffel Tower. Of course, maybe bundle up. I feel like my fingers are about to fall off. But yeah, that's a very jam-packed itinerary. Gets you a little bit of everything. Of course, there's so much more to see in France, and I would definitely recommend more than a day in Paris. But if you have one day, there's an itinerary for you. So thank you for watching. I hope that's helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Even if you never in your life traveled to Paris, now you have a glimpse of it. Thanks for watching. Bye.